Hello, it is PMP Robin, and I am here to give you your project management PMP certification countdown. These videos have been really popular, so I'm going to give you all of my lessons learned in one place, in one video, just short, succinct. Number one, use the whiteboard. You can practice with the whiteboard prior to the exam. Think of the whiteboard this way. I know a lot recommend doing those 49 processes in 2021. This is a new exam. I don't recommend drawing the 49 processes. I recommend knowing your knowledge areas and your domains, but I don't think you need to draw the chart. Use that whiteboard to remind yourself what your knowledge gaps are. So with that said, really plan your brain dump. As you are taking mock exams at home, have a sheet of paper next to you, have a notepad next to you, an electronic one maybe, and write down where your knowledge gaps are. Not necessarily everything, but write down what you know that you need in order to pass the exam, what information you want at your fingertips. And always go back and take a look at what you've put on this whiteboard and refine it. Take several full-length mock exam. I recommend if you haven't already started your full-length mock exams, start them within 10 days of your exam date. Try to take 5 unique full-length mock exams. And even more important than this is to know why an answer is wrong. So you may want to use a Microsoft Word table. You may want to use a notepad. You may want to use an Excel document. Create columns. Put what the question was, what you answered, what the correct answer is, and why you got it wrong. And then for your brain dump, you're going to take those golden nuggets, the things that you are worried that you're just not going to remember, and take those golden nuggets and then make that part of your brain dump. I can't emphasize this enough. Take time off. This is a big undertaking. Take time off prior to the exam. I was in a great position with my employer. I was able to take the 10 business days prior to my exam. I was able to start by working half days. I took off the day before the exam and I took off the day of the exam. It made a world of difference. I didn't take the time off to study. What I did was I made sure that I studied based on what had been recommended to me by my vendor, which was 2 to 3 hours a day, except for the weekend prior to the exam. I did take a boot camp the weekend prior, but I made sure that I took that time off to rest my mind. Your brain is a sponge, but it does need rest. Strike a pose. For those of you who are Grey's Anatomy fans, wake up every morning, stand in your mirror, strike your superhero pose. You are going to pass this exam and get your mindset ready. So that way, when you walk into that exam room, strike your pose and sit down. You've got this. Create a power playlist. What songs motivate you? These are some of the songs that were on my power playlist. This is an exhausting, voluminous, sometimes overwhelming process. And if you're like me and you took the exam more than once, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I do have to tell you, though, that failing the PMP my first round was, from a tutor standpoint, the best thing that could have happened to me. It really had me refine my skills, and it really put me in a position where I can help other people. So get that power playlist together. Sleep. Take the time to sleep We are all humans. You need a good 8 hours of sleep. Maybe you only need 7, maybe you only need 6, but you do need sleep. And make sure you get it. This is a really, really important exam. Now, I talked a little earlier about those 49 processes. In 2020, I would have said, hey, make sure you get those 49 processes memorized. Yeah, 2021, not quite as important. Not saying it's not important, it's just not quite as important. If you need to memorize anything, memorize your outputs. Take those 49 processes, memorize the output for the 49 processes. If you memorize the output, you've not only memorized your 49 processes, but you've also memorized your inputs. Focus on the outputs. There is a great video out there from an amazing vendor coach. Search for it. It's a great YouTube video. It's life-changing. The other thing I recommend memorizing is your tool groupings. I'm going to give you an example. For manage quality and control quality, one of your ITTOs, one of your tools and techniques is data representation. Now, data representation can represent 8 or 9 different things. Memorize just the tool grouping category. And then just make sure that you're familiar with what the tools that are associated with that grouping are. So you're going to memorize the groupings. I think maybe there's 8 or 9 of them, or at least the ones that you're going to see most commonly. And then as long as you know what the tool is when you see it on the exam based on the grouping, you don't have to memorize those 600 ITTOs. Just memorize the 8 or 9 tool groupings and make sure that you understand which tools fall under which grouping. Do take a look at the Lexicon of Terms. This is a great document. You can download it from the PMI website. There's a great feature in many readers. It's also available to you in a lot of, I was going to say Internet Explorer, but it's also good in a lot of web browsers. For instance, Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge has a feature, it's called Read Aloud. This is also available to you in Adobe. You can turn on a PMI document, and I mean even your PMBOK 6 and your Agile Practice Guide. Put on that Read Aloud feature. Have the content read to you. Your Agile Practice Guide, it's a very different read than PMBOK 6. Listen to it the way that you would listen to your radio or the way that you would listen to a TV program. You can play it at work. Just have that Lexicon of Terms playing to you. If you like sleep stories, that Lexicon of Terms, it's going to put you to sleep. It is great to go to sleep by. That it was one of my tricks. All right, I cannot tell you how passionate I am about this. If you've taken the time and spent the money and purchased a boot camp, take your exam within 5 business days. That's the intention of the boot camp. Your cognitive memory is going to give you what you need. Don't doubt yourself. Stay confident and stay positive. If you've already attended your boot camp and it's already been more than 5 business days, see if you have access to those videos the weekend prior to your exam. You are going to simulate that boot camp again in your home, and you are going to watch those videos just as if you were watching it live. Do not study the day prior. Don't take any simulated questions. Don't study. This is a day of rest. Focus on yourself. Focus on rest. Have a spa day. Stay in your jammies all day long. Binge watch TV. You've been working really, really hard. Give yourself some rest. If you are taking the exam off-site, Drive to the exam site prior. Get familiar with the route. Be prepared for the unexpected the day of the exam in regards to getting there. Make sure you're on time. During the exam, you're going to have access to both the strikeout tool and a highlight tool. Get comfortable using those features now. Your snipping tool that's available to you in Windows 10, or if you have an iPad or an iPad mini, you have a screen capture available to you, and you can use the markup features. When you're doing your simulated questions, every once in a while, especially if the question is long and verbose and you need time kind of narrowing it down, bring up your screen snipping software, use the highlight tool, use the strikeout tool, focus on the answers that you know are incorrect first. This is going to lead you to your correct answer, and use that highlight tool to highlight the key words in the question. You do have the access to do this in the exam. I can't recommend it enough. If you're taking your exam at home, test your technology. I recommend testing it 3 days prior. Make sure that if you have a Windows-based computer that you've installed all of your updates, at least all the ones that you know that you're going to need to take that exam. And then I also recommend logging in 3 hours prior to your exam, testing that technology again, and then I recommend logging in 30 minutes prior to your exam so that you're ready to go. Well, that is it. I certainly hope this was helpful. Please subscribe. And this was my countdown for that PMP exam. Strike a pose, create your power playlist, and please let us know when you've passed in 2021.